Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the new podcast, Sophisticated Scoundrels, starring comedians Ari Spears and Gerard Guillory. Get ready to be entertained and enlightened by highly intellectual banter and some straight stupid shit. There'll be at times very intriguing and well thought out banter. Other times there'll be just fart jokes, hence the name, Sophisticated Scoundrels. Now sit back, relax, buckle your seatbelt, and get ready for a wild ride like a motherfucker. Notice I didn't say motherfucker with the ER or TH. Well, it's because I'm black, and so is Gerard and Aries, so we say motherfucker. But to our white brothers and sisters, feel free to join in. You too can be part of this motherfucker. You see what I did there? Motherfucker.
We're playing basketball. We're playing basketball. New York in the building. You know what it is. Sophisticated Scoundrels, baby.
Yep.
Your boy Ari Spears here, my counterpart Gerard Guillory.
Yep.
Representing Houston.
Yep.
And somewhat Atlanta too, right?
Yeah, you know, I'm from Houston. My mother lives in Atlanta. I rep all things Southern, but certainly Houston, Texas, H-Town, and Atlanta, Georgia for sure.
One of the smartest Southern niggas I know. He reads, has all his teeth. Shout out. I love the South, man. I know I give y'all shit, but I love you, baby.
Got to, man.
Dirty. Speaking of which, real quick, let me give some Southern history, some slavery history. Do you know why they call hush puppies hush puppies?
No.
These little things that black people eat called the hush puppies, it's because slaves would make them and they would throw them on the trail when they ran away, and the dogs would eat them, and it would cause the dogs to be quiet. Hence,
fantastic.
Hush puppies.
How about that?
Niggas are the best.
And by the way, we know for a fact, and they probably knew that, but white folks eat hush puppies too.
Them niggas eat them goddamn hush puppies too, nigga. Don't let that goddamn white man fool you. Niggas eat everything that the white man eats and vice versa. At one point in time, white folks was eating niggas. Hot sauce on a nigga is delicious. Very gummy, nigga. Very gummy.
Gummy?
That's not fat, nigga. That's soul. All right. All right. Great documentary, man. I might have caught what we was talking about. Supreme Team, and we ran out of time. Again, we had a lot more we could have covered, but you know, we want to try to run a tight ship. So I was looking forward to this, man. It's called New York City Point Guards. And again, it's the double play on the word God, because New York City vernacular, street vernacular, you know, talk, what up, God? Yo, what up, kid? Yo, what up, son? What up, done? So God is one of the words. And, you know, I know they also meant, because the best point guards, these dudes was gods, man. So I love that. And if you're from Boston, of course, it's gads. You got to see the fucking New York City point guards. The fucking guys are fucking to die for.
Right.
They started off with Mark Jackson. And before I ask the question, the point they made, which, you know, I feel is a fair assessment. Mark wasn't the flashiest guy. Didn't have the greatest handles like a Kyrie Irving. He wasn't a scorer, but he got the job done. He was efficient. He from a basketball IQ, and the point guard is basically like the quarterback position. The floor general. He was fucking. He got it done. Where would you rank Mark Jackson?
Out of the guys that they had on the show,
Yeah.
or
let me have you kill two birds with one stone. And I know I might forget some people, but if and on your knowledge and based on what you know, give me your top 10 point guards. No particular order.
Out of New York, or just top 10 point
Top
guards?
10 point guards, period.
I'm gonna go with almost everybody they have in the thing.
Right.
Rod Strickland.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if Mahmoud was a
point guard.
Was he a point, or was he a
so?
two?
I think he was. Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf.
Stefan Marbury. Kenny Anderson. Again, if we're just coming out of Magic.
Of course.
Penny Hardaway.
Of course.
Let
me help you out. Tell me, would you put him in your top 10?
Yes.
Jason Kidd?
Yes.
Okay. Gary Payton?
Yes.
Steve Nash?
Steve Nash could be on the list, yeah.
Okay. And Isaiah Thomas?
Yes.
So here's my question. Why is Mark Jackson not in your top 10?
Mark would only not be in the top 10 based in what they were saying.
Right.
But I love Mark Jackson. And as a matter of fact, I made plenty of money playing with him on NBA Live because he was the one who set up either Reggie Miller or Detlef Schrempf. Was that a... No, they had Rick Smits, the Duncan Dutchman.
So you're not even talking about Mark Jackson Knicks. You're talking about Jackson Pacers.
Jackson Pacers.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a really good team. When you hear them talk and you go back and look at that footage where he was like, where Mark always says it, I was his Bundini Brown.
Right.
They can't beat you. You're the greatest. You're the best. You're the best.
Yes.
Yeah. And remember, we don't have a lot of, it seemed like in this NBA, we don't have that. It seems like everybody has to be the guy instead of having one guy tell the guy, remind the guy that he's the guy. Right. That's how we're going to get to the chip. And so, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I would. Did I not? Was that not 10?
That was 10.
Okay.
And the point of me asking you to put your top 10 together was because if you would have asked me to put my top 10 together before I would have put it together, I would have told you I don't see him in the top 10. I think he got the job done. He was capable, competent, but top 10, I don't know. When you talk about who came out of that, I don't think Kenny Smith is in the top 10.
No, see, I would have definitely included Kenny if I thought Kenny was. Now, Kenny was very good, but again, Akeem.
Well, when Barkley is busting his balls on Inside the NBA on TNT, jokingly he goes, Akeem got you 2 rings.
Right.
You didn't get him 2 rings.
Right.
And I think that when Kenny came out of college and he was with Sacramento, younger, quicker, could dunk. Yeah. But at no point did I feel ever in Kenny Smith's career that he was the dude.
No.
At that position.
I'm trying to think of who else, who outside, because, I'm swayed by the show, just thinking about point guards, but I'm trying to, Mario Chalmers, I'm trying to think of who was the point guard on some of the last handful of championship teams. When D-Wade and LeBron.
Right.
Who was the point guard when Shaq and D-Wade?
Shaq and D-Wade. Jason Williams. White Chocolate.
Jason Williams. He's not going to be in the top 10, but he's
a motherfucker.
He's in that space.
Right.
In the holdover room. Rondo. Rajon Rondo.
Right.
From the Celtics. Now just trying to think of who's in the in the should be considered, or at least whose names we got an honorable mention because they won chips, but even who's the point at Golden State? Is that Steph?
Steph.
Steph is
Oh,
one.
and I didn't even mention Steph in terms of top 10.
Steph is one. Yeah, now Steph has to be in there just because he can do it all.
All right, so just so we don't sway away from what this is supposed to be about,
Right.
But since we're on the topic of point guards,
We'll see y'all next week.
do give me in order your top 5 point guards, and that could be any of the people we named. And I'm gonna tell you right now, I shouldn't be making your opinion for you, but you gotta have Magic as number 1.
Magic is definitely, and you said no particular order.
No, in particular order. Magic ain't number 1.
Well, again, not about comparing eras. I just wanted to make sure to have who else am I going to have in there? No, Magic.
Regardless,
Magic,
he's number 1.
Magic belongs at the top again.
Not number 1. You're killing me.
Yeah, no, Magic is number 1.
Okay,
but based in his paperwork.
No. Of everybody we just named.
Yeah, no, Magic
number 1.
belongs number 1. But I was looking like I wanted to make sure, who do I want to keep from who we listed, right? And it may not be. It's not going to be.
There's going to be some.
It's not going to be Kenny Anderson or Stephon Marbury, who again are in that same room, in the rollover room.
Okay,
they're up there, but again, they don't have a resume of accomplishments that equate to Magic, like no one does.
Okay, so we know Magic is
except
1.
for Steph.
You got 4 more.
I'm going to take Steph 2.
2.
Yep.
Over Isaiah Thomas.
Yes.
A lot of people I know will agree with you on that just because they're in the moment now and of his incredible shooting. But, Jordan said in The Last Dance, despite how I feel about Isaiah personally, he's my number 2. After Magic Johnson, Isaiah is the best point guard to ever play the game.
Listen, you got no complaints out of that.
But he ain't your number 2.
No, because
Steph.
I'm going with, just because I can see this now. But again, I was a grown man. Matter of fact, my roommates were from Detroit during the sweep, the second sweep. House was filled with brooms. I was a sophomore in college at the time. You know what I mean? So,
you got 3 more.
After that, again,
Magic, Steph,
Mahmoud.
Mahmoud at 3?
Yep.
Over Chris Paul or Kyrie Irving?
As a matter of fact, I'm going to take both of those, but I want Mahmoud where he is, and then I'll put Chris and Kyrie.
So 3, and then Chris 4, Kyrie 5?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, standing on it.
Okay.
And I had much love for Joe Dumars, who also gave.
Well, he was
Jordan.
a 2 guard.
Yeah, but he gave Jordan fits too.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. My top 5: Magic, Isaiah. Something about Steph I don't want to like. There's something about this thing. This coffee after the cream has been put in, nigga.
That's the way I feel about Mahomes. I think Patrick Mahomes is great, but he walks like he's about to go tell.
That's hilarious.
He walks like he's about to go snitch right now. Yeah.
God, I swear, if he didn't get hurt, I would put Penny at 3.
See, that's when Penny had.
People forget, boy, before Penny got hurt. Oh my God.
Tyra Banks, fool.
Oh goodness. Yeah. Was AI a point guard or a 2? 2.
He was a 2.
But he ran the point, didn't he?
I want to say, who else was over there?
If he ran the point, then I give it to AI. If he didn't run the point, I got to put Chris Paul at 4, Kyrie at 5.
Not bad. Did you agree with the list on outside of Mark Jackson at 1?
Kind of, sort of. Because a lot of them dudes, it seemed like, yes, they were great, but they didn't, when you talk about champions, really not a whole lot of dudes out of New York. Matter of fact, did any of them niggas out of New York win a championship?
Right.
Kenny Smith.
Right. But
Marbury, a lot of should have beens or could have beens.
And still great careers. Now, not a God, Sham God, and some of the lesser
Rayford Austin.
And Rayford was my guy. You remember Rayford?
Skip to my Lou, yeah.
Skip to my Lou, Houston Rockets.
Oh, did he? That wasn't his first team, though. His first team was Milwaukee, I think.
He spent some time with us.
Did he really? I know he did.
Uh-huh.
But was he still Rayford Austin?
Tracy McGrady Oh yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I think that was the Tracy McGrady era. Yeah, I mean, yeah, he spent
And
some
what was
time.
amazing about Rafer was, and you talk about 30 for 30s, there was a great short 30 for 30 specifically about and one basketball.
Mm-hmm.
And Rafer Skip to Malou was one of them street ball or Rucker Park niggas. It was just amazing.
Yeah.
And a lot of them dudes, and I loved in that particular documentary when they talked about, yeah, them dudes was good for the streets, but don't get it confused with the pros. They couldn't play pro ball.
Right.
They didn't have the discipline. They didn't take care of their bodies.
Right.
You know, a lot of them dudes before their championship game was smoking weed and drinking Hennessy.
And out, wilding out.
Right, wilding out.
Yeah.
And it was like, and they specifically said about my man out of Atlanta, Hot Sauce. They was like, yeah, Hot Sauce came to the Pro-Am. By the time he was done, they was calling that nigga Ketchup.
Yeah, hate to hear that. Now, but again, what we knew when all that was going on was that it was when Rafer made it to the league, that was an anomaly. That these great players who have set the tone for street ball around the world,
Right,
and have greatly affected NBA point guard play would never make the league. Like, it sounds like again in our career, something I've spent my time. I heard it all at the beginning of doing stand up, and then I've spent a lot of time actually doing it, and that is warm up. Warm up is it's like street ball. You're like, man, you do audience warm up, dude. You're gonna be stuck doing audience warm up. You're not gonna be the star of the show.
okay.
And it's kind of like that, what they were saying about street ball. Like, the street ballers don't go pro. They just don't go pro. And then there goes Rafer.
I do see the equivalence in it, but I also feel like there is a major difference. I mean, you know, look, it's a reason why I don't do warm up. It's its own extreme talent.
Yeah.
The ability to be able to go out there, because my thing is I want to go out there, do my thing, kill it, and be done.
Yeah, that
to go out there and kill it, chill, somebody else come out, you come back out, and you keep having to reflame yourself.
Bruh. It's a tough gig. Yeah, that also if you get the call sheet and they say you're gonna go out at 10:07, you're gonna go out at 11:13, you're gonna go out at 12:08, but at 10:59 the AC goes out, and so the maintenance guy has to come in and fix the thing for 47 minutes. Now it's like, Gerard, you need to jump out there, and it's like, entertainment, right? Yeah, it's a tough gig, but again, one I ain't gonna lie, pretty decent at. Made a nice living.
Well, I mean, but to kind of toot your horn a little bit for you, you've done the warm-up thing, but then you can do the stand-up thing. Mm-hmm. And I got to say, we did a gig where he replaced Andy in Dallas, and for 30 straight minutes, this motherfucker didn't do a single joke and destroyed off of all improv. So you would be the Rafer Alston of comedy, nigga. You could do street ball, but you can play pro ball too.
Yeah, absolutely.
And not a lot of dudes can do that.
Yes, because I'm not smoking and drinking Hennessy the night before the game.
But you will smoke and drink Hennessy after the game.
Oh, I'm talking about shortly after you get on stage. Did y'all say last call?
Right,
Yeah.
New York has always been known as the mecca
of
basketball.
Absolutely.
From the days of Rucker Park when it was Dr. J with the afro.
Got a picture of it in my computer.
Do you really?
On my desktop, yep.
Again, that was a time that was before me, but being a New Yorker, I would have loved to have felt what that experience was like, to where there were dudes sitting in trees, standing on rooftops to see the game.
The people hanging on the fence.
Right.
You saw that where people are holding themselves by their hands on a fence for the duration of a game, which Rafer was going to show up after it started.
Right.
The game was going to go low. You're going to have to hang on that fence for another 40.
Right.
For another 40 minutes, man.
Right. Yeah, dude, that whole experience, and you know, New York is all, you know, look, some people like to hate on New York because of the cocky swagger that comes with New York and New Yorkers. But when you think mecca of basketball and the Garden often being described as a cathedral, but then I wonder where in that, because it only feels like there's only that I can remember, 3 major cities when you talk about proud ballers: New York, Chicago, LA. Is there anything past that? And if there is, I instinctively want to say Detroit. But other than that, are there any major basketball?
Would you not say Philly? You say?
Damn, Philly.
I would imagine too, wherever we are in abundance, that would be the case.
Okay.
Wherever we are. I'm trying to think of guys, again, I'm talking about going to school with Scarface.
Right.
Later, a few years later, the guy who was Mr. Texas basketball he ate lunch with me and my partner Charles, you know what I mean?
Right.
And his brother was Mr. Basketball before him. Only spent a very short time in the league, but I would imagine that, that's an us thing. Now, of course, New York has these particular places. If you playing at Rucker Park, that's significant. If you playing in Madison Square Garden, that is significant. But my thought is wherever we are, there is that dude there. And
is there really? Because again, to bring up to your example, Houston is one of the biggest cities in the world, in the country.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you whether you look at Houston, Dallas, or San Antonio, the 3 major cities in the state of Texas, I don't know that either of those places is known for ballers.
But did you know that a large percentage of guys who retire from the league and a lot of guys who play in the league live in Houston? That before, I'm not sure how long the Drew League has been out here in LA,
right?
But there's a thing called Fundi. So when Akeem and them were playing, it was a big deal. The summer league in Houston was that spot. So you have all the pros who go there to play in the off season.
Was it supposed to be somewhat reminiscent of Rucker Park?
It's exactly like Drew League, where you have real pros in tournament with also playing with and against random dudes.
Regular dudes?
Yeah. But it's official. Like I said, it is official. It's like Drew League.
Right. I would imagine that the regular dudes are getting mopped up, are they not?
Yeah, but again, not necessarily. Remember, everybody who's great there's a lot of guys that's not in the league for reasons other than them not being good. This dude can't keep his nose clean.
Okay.
This dude was locked up when it was time to, he was in there playing prison ball or, for one reason or another. But yeah, Houston does have a big, again, remember you have to think about this away from basketball.
Right.
The 3 states that produce the most athletes is California, Texas, and Florida. So you start talking about football, basketball, baseball, so forth. That's where they coming from.
What'd you think about Stephon Marbury? I always felt like when you talk about awesome NBA duos,
man,
Shaq, Kobe, Magic, Kareem, Jordan, Pippen. Wasn't Stephon Marbury and KG supposed to win one?
I don't know exactly who else was in, because that's West. Who else was doing? Was that a Laker time? Who?
Yeah, I think so.
That might have been it. Again, it's kind of like boxing, and you know boxing better than I do. But remember, there were some really good boxers who just didn't end up with that legacy because they were in an era with Tyson or Roy Jones Jr. or whatever. It's like, that dude would have been great. He just couldn't get past that dude.
Right.
So yeah, I think it's that. You know what I mean? Like, because that was another team that I played with on NBA Live. Remember, in the corner was Wally Zerbiak.
Oh, I was going to say, throw him in as a third. I mean, obviously, Marbury and KG were the 2 titans.
Yeah, but they had those shooters. Who else was on the other side over there?
I forget the white boy's name with the blonde hair.
They were shooters, though.
Right.
It was a really good team, but I think that might have been the thing. And they were, and that's the one thing about pro sports in general, but certainly in basketball, when you hear about experience, and when you just hear that randomly, it's like, man, these dudes have played 12 million games. These are the same dudes that if they were not being paid millions of dollars to play this game this afternoon, they'd be in the gym playing 19 today. They played 19 full court basketball games today. And you're talking about they don't have experience. And then you get in the playoffs and you start watching and you say, oh, I see.
Right.
It is significant.
Right.
Experience is significant. Dennis Rodman just put his thumb in dude's butt. He's about to lose it.
Right.
You got to have some experience to know how to
Right.
defend against Dennis Rodman. He's
Right.
getting ready to rattle your cage, man.
Yeah.
Y'all are playing in a hostile environment. You're a rookie this year. Y'all played 19 games in your college year. Now you playing 82 plus because this is the second round of the playoffs. Dude, you got to be tired as hell.
This actually brings me to my next point. I always say, I don't know if you ever really checked it out, but one of my favorite shows to watch on TV from NBA TV is Open Court. I don't know
Where
if
they
you've ever
chopping
seen
it up, yeah.
Dude. And especially when at one point in time, the panel was always, and when you have this combination, you know it's great television. Isaiah Thomas, Charles Barkley, Shaq, and then, they would mix match, but Steve Kerr, Steve Smith. And I mean, just to watch those dudes talk openly and honestly about basketball was awesome. And I remember Barkley said, like with anything in life, but I put this under the umbrella of entertainment, like with comedy, there's levels to this shit, man. And just because you a bad motherfucker at this level is not a birthright to being a bad motherfucker at this level.
Right.
And as you move up
beyond,
the ladder.
Right.
And he was like, there's a lot of dudes who was great in high school, all Americans. They got to college, another level. There are dudes who was in demand in college. It's a bad motherfucker. Got to the NBA, another level. He said, it's like no matter how good you were at the level before you, that next level, you're starting over.
Right.
Scratch. Right. And I just was intrigued by that because I'm just going, you would think that with some of the knowledge that you've learned in high school and with good coaching, that's got to help you at the college level and then college to NBA level. So when Barkley goes, nah, you got to start over. I'm like, first of all, that level of dedication to the game to where you can just go lose everything you've learned up to this point, start over.
Right. Again, a little different when you already have the check in the bank. You know what I mean?
Motivation.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, if you were on a team and coach was banging and banging and banging away, and the veteran Barkley came over and said, dude, what coach is trying to tell you is forget everything you know, bro. Forget what you know. When you come in here tomorrow, man, be a clean slate of paper and let him write on it, man. Right? You're not struggling trying to make it to the league. You're in the league. And now you're being asked to do something new. It would be easier than like in comedy where you're still hustling and grinding to get up there. You can't forget what you knew because when you are there to exhibit what you do, you're getting paid for that. And that will dictate, oh, no, you're not. They're going to remove you from the tour. You see what I'm saying? You don't get to forget everything you know. But when you got a veteran who would pull you to the side and give you some piece of information, you're already on the team, bro. Right? You've made the team.
Right.
But here's what we need from you. We don't need what you did in college, bro. We need you to do this. This is a different game.
I mean, look, creatures of habit. Sometimes, and one of the hardest things is when you're on that stage and you go, I know the set is killer from A to Z.
Right.
I know what it does. I know how it breathes. I know every little detail as to how this moves. Okay? And you're comfortable in that. Forget what you know and try this. Or if you're not a guy that does crowd work, do crowd work. If you're not a guy that tells stories, tell stories. And I have to believe to some extent, yes, like any muscle, you have to work on it and to make it stronger. But at the end of the day, still funny is funny.
Right.
So, if you can be funny, if funny is within you, okay, yeah, make a little bit of adjustment, but funny finds a way.
Right.
But I've never been a professional athlete, which of course I think is every man's fantasy if you've never been one. Right. And I would love to be one. Obviously not in this life, but...
Oh, yeah, it's over with. We're going to fill out some paperwork, though, for the comeback. If I got to come back,
right.
Lord of mercy.
Oh, Jesus, man. I just... Yeah. To have to forget what you know from college or high school and start over. What is that like? Yeah, that's crazy.
Again, you should be on a squad with, like I said, some veterans, some people you already knew that you could look up to and trust. You know what I mean?
Right.
That should make that thing easier. Like, I don't know what he's saying, because I've been in spaces, as a professional, again, warm up or whatever, it's like, dude, they want me to do something, but I'm not positive of what to do, before they yell, get out there, like, that discomfort of not knowing what to do, but having to do it in just a damn minute.
This is what I'm saying about, me potentially doing Wildin' Out with Nick Cannon.
Right.
I'm tentatively scheduled to do that at the end of September. And I've obviously seen the show. I've never done the show. I know what comedy is. I know what improv is.
Yeah.
I know what being funny is.
Yeah.
But when I see some of the things they do on that show, I go, that feels like a different thing a little bit. I know some of it is the same in terms of what I'm talking about. But that's why I asked Nick when I spoke to him, is it really improv or is it planned out? Because if that is really improv, the way y'all are doing that, yeah, it's intimidating.
But you again, it's right up your alley. Again, I know they wouldn't have you up there to fail. I would go into that with skill set holding down Mad TV for, remember all the sketches I did on Mad was live to tape, or what they call the playbacks.
Right. Pre-recorded.
Yeah, pre-recorded. Yeah. So I never got to really get busy in front of the audience. And y'all spent the better part of the time doing that.
Right.
So there you go. Like I again, I wouldn't be concerned with it. I know that I would be able to go over there and kill it.
Right.
Watch a few episodes, get your game together, bust some freestyles in the car, and get on down there and stand out and kill it. That's it.
And when I brought that up about those different levels, because one of the guys they brought up that came out of New York was Pearl Washington. And for a second, I was getting him confused with Earl the Pearl.
Right. And I forgot about that. I was like, wait a minute, why?
Right.
I was thinking the same thing. And then when I saw the error, I was like, oh no, I watched him play.
Right,
I watched him.
And he was a beast.
He was a beast.
Beast. And I forget what game it was that they played, I think in the Garden, where they just knew the team he was playing was so far superior that they thought this is the moment where we see him get shut down.
Failed, right.
And he succeeded.
He showed
Oh,
out.
my God.
Showed out.
No noise in the NBA. Fizzled out. And I just, to me, it's somewhat hard to make that connection, that you could be that goddamn good, but then get to the NBA and fizzle out, or not even get to the NBA.
Well, again, I always think about this with most pro sports. If they have a lottery, if their pro sport has a lottery, which I believe most do. I don't know about the baseball draft or hockey or whatever. But you got to imagine, if you're you play professional sports today, you were great on your college team. You were great in high school, you were great in the junior high, and you were great at Pop Warner or Little League.
Mm.
But because of all of that, you're a lottery pick. And you went first. And the first player goes to the worst team. So most guys who get to the league who were great, the first time they ever lose, and not lose a game, but have losing seasons and are a part of losing cultures, is when they first got their big, giant $1 million check to play. And that can be taxing. We talked about it in the first episode. Popularity is based on the people who are good at what they do. Remember, if you went first in the draft, the odds are you didn't have to go to algebra in the 9th grade. You could hang out in the wood shop class until practice. I'm on the cover of USA Today this week. Man, what are you talking about?
Practice.
Practice. Not a game. Not a game.
Practice.
Not a game.
Right.
We talking about practice.
Yeah.
Right? And you never lost until you play on national television. Everybody watching.
Right.
You never lost till you got enough money to get that chain you wore up here.
Right.
And y'all got dismantled. You haven't played on national television but once this year.
Right.
Again, what is the college basketball They played 25, 26 games.
I'm not as college.
But it's not 82. Remember, they talking, we've been hearing about that for 30 years. There's a wall players hit their first year in the league. You come back after the All-Star break. Oh, you went to Miami for the All-Star weekend? You weren't an All-Star. You should have been resting because we got 50 more games to play before we don't go to the playoffs. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
It's a whole nother level, bro. You catching flights at midnight. Remember, we were talking about the WNBA girls were complaining about their flights. I don't know if you remember. They made us take commercial flights, and we had to fly on the day of the game. And one of the girls said, we didn't have to do that in college. It's like, you play pro ball now.
Right.
Nobody want to hear what you did. You don't compare this to what you did in college. Y'all might have to catch a bus tonight.
Right.
If it's snowing out here, you got to be in Portland in the morning. Yeah, and that's what it is.
Before we shift gears to the WNBA, and I know that this will be late news, but nonetheless, we should pay a little bit of homage to it. The passing of Bill Russell.
Absolutely.
And when you say, and listen, I don't want to get into the Jordan debate, but obviously out of respect for Russell.
He wants to be in the Jordan debate.
Out of respect for Russell, especially when someone has just passed,
yes,
they say the GOAT, one of the greatest, the greatest. I will say he was one of the greatest. I would never give him GOAT because, again, when you talked about in college, we play this many games versus the pros. And you may feel completely different from this, but first of all, he didn't play as many regular season games back then.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, he came up at a time, and this is not his fault, but he came up in an era where the league was just starting to integrate.
Right.
And Larry Bird, the legend, one of the greatest players of all time, said himself, basketball is a black man's game.
Yep.
They're the best at it.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're Bill Russell and the only black guy you're going up against is another Titan in Wilt Chamberlain versus you're coming up in the era against Wilt, Kareem, Ewing, Hakeem, Shaq, Walton, David Robinson. There's no way you win 11 rings. There's no way.
I get that. But do you think that some of it is about, are they saying he's the very best player, or are they giving him reverence because he accomplished a great deal? See, just like you just said, there's not a lot of black people in the league, and it was just now integrating, and more than likely because they were trying to keep up with his black ass.
Right.
Hey, man, can y'all send us a pack of those?
They got tired of the basic chest pass.
Yeah.
Dribbling like this.
Yeah, dude, with a forearm out.
Right.
He hurt his neck from looking down, dribbling the ball the whole time. Yeah, but, great accomplishments. And not just
off the court, you mean?
On and off the court. I mean, 13 chips is, you know what I mean?
11.
It was 11.
Yeah, 11.
Still multiple, more than 10 championships. Now, what we watch in this environment, when we watch the Lakers Showtime create the term repeat, then we see Jordan three-peat twice, and then we look at stuff like Golden State and Boston and Miami and so forth, that it's really hard to win back-to-back.
Right.
Now, would you imagine that changes just because the players are not as good?
But again, you won 11, but you did it at a time where the league didn't have its best players. You did it at a time where, in terms of physical ability, you're a midget amongst Gary Colemans and Websters, nigga.
I get that, but I'm saying, how come it? How many years did he play in league?
Total, I don't know.
Was it 11?
More than that.
Okay, well then that kind of goes out of the water there, because he should have as many chips as the years he played in the league. Well, all I'm saying is, we recognize that in every sport, even if it's Tom Brady or Michael Jordan, it is really difficult to get back there. Remember, you got injury, there's trade, there's all kind of reasons why somebody retired. We got a new coach. for one reason or another, it's very, very hard to win 2 championships back to back, or even with the same. Remember, they're gonna blow it up if they don't do it this year. So you got to give him someone.
Listen, I'm not trying to diminish his greatness because he's definitely great. But
those of you listening, you can't see the sarcastic smirk on our Aries face to know that he's bullshitting you right now.
There's got to be an asterisk a little bit on his name, man.
Why would you put an asterisk, or would you just not move it forward?
We're talking about 82 games, which is what the NBA plays now. I think it was 20-something games.
Right.
29.
Right. And those guys...
Not as many teams.
They went to work in the off season too, I imagine. They sold insurance and so forth. And had
real estate. And kept niggas from buying houses in their
neighborhood. Yeah. We need you to draw a red line all the way around your neighborhood. And when you get done, the season's going to start. There you go. So yeah, again, I don't want to take anything from him, but I wouldn't put him on the list of the best player. You know what I mean? But his accomplishments, again, when you couple on and off, you know, he had to put up with a whole lot of stuff, which is crazy, that we would love to give reverence to, except we're right back to a place where they spitting on Steph Curry and Trae Young. They spitting.
Right.
You know, that Russell Westbrook got to keep running up in the stands.
Right.
So you think that was paid for, that Bill Russell has a invoice for that.
Yeah.
That was already taken care of. But the mere fact that he was there to put that down, again, I don't know that I would compare him with the other players, certainly from the other eras, but I don't know. You can't take that from Bill.
I don't know if you ever saw that great documentary on 30 for 30, L.A. Lakers Best of Enemies, the 3-part documentary.
No, I hadn't seen that one.
Oh, Gerard.
How'd I miss that one? How'd I miss that one?
And they got Ice Cube narrating the L.A. side and Donnie Wahlberg narrating the Boston side because that's their respective hometowns. Point Gad's kid. Fucking wicked kid. Fucking Kevin Garnett kid. Garnett. And they tell the famous story how when Bill Russell decided to retire his number, he had a private ceremony in front of just him and his teammates because he didn't want to celebrate with the city of Boston because of how racist they were.
Fantastic.
Breaking in his house, defecating on his bed.
Wow.
Writing the word nigga on his wall in feces.
Wow.
So he had such a distaste
for January 6th, daddy. By the way, nobody's been charged for the boo-boo. Go ahead.
Damn.
Come on, man. That's foul.
He
He
hated them so much that he had a private ceremony.
Which
is so crazy when you think of, you know, how revered he had become in his older life. White folks love when niggas are no longer loud or moving fast. That's when they love you.
He can't hit me back.
When Charles Barkley was throwing motherfuckers through windows, they didn't like him.
He said he's not a role model.
But now that he's fat and funny,
right,
they love him.
Right.
They love him.
It's that king thing.
Now that Tyson is old and more at peace, they love him.
Right. They
didn't like George Foreman in his youth.
Right.
But once he started selling grills and was fat and looked like a Buddhist, a big Buddha, they love him.
Yeah, that's a weird thing. Again, it kind of helps wash away.
Say what? Oh, okay, Paul. They love when niggas are calm. White folks don't love when you niggas are strong. When you are Samson, they don't like you. They've got to cut that nigga hair short. You lose your goddamn powers. Charles Barkley, Mike Tyson, Bill Russell, Morgan Freeman. They love you niggas when you niggas are no longer powerful. They love Morgan Freeman. He looks like a cookie. Something they can dip in milk. They love that nigga. Oh, Morgan Freeman. We could dip this nigga in milk. He's a cookie. He's a cookie. That nigga, I bet you that nigga's nuts look like pumpernickel. His ass and nuts look like pumpernickel. We could put mortadella on that nigga's ass, cheese and lettuce, and bite him. They love that
nigga. Morgan Freeman looks like a cookie. God damn. We get 2 packs of Morgan Freeman.
Mrs. Fields.
And some regular chocolate chips.
Right.
Man.
Yeah, they like you when you calm and you at peace. And like you said, they can't hit back.
I think, though, it's a time thing, right? If Because if I was the one in the picture taunting you and calling you out of your name and throwing racial epithets when I was 20, and then when you turned 50 and now I'm 60, I don't look like the person in the picture anymore.
Right.
And it changes. And so now I can pretend not to be the person who's forever captured in that photo. We seen
And
the
listen,
photo.
I know I'm being funny with that, but there is an eerie, more than a coincidence here. You know, when Ali was Ali, loud and
absolutely.
But when he was this at the Olympics in Atlanta, lighting the torch,
Absolutely.
they love him.
It goes back to the thing about King. You know, once we've killed you, once you're defeated, when you are
Right.
no longer a threat, then you cool to be in the circle, and we can hold you up, and we know that you don't have the power to lead 100 people to come and harm us because we deserve it and whoop-de-whoop.
Right.
Now this is it's over with.
Yeah.
We've washed it away.
Right.
Whitewash.
The WNBA, as some of you may know, there's always been this controversy why the women don't get paid respectively as much as the men. And I actually, I mean, look, Bill Burr did a Netflix special called, I think it was called Rolling Rocky, where he performed it outdoors in Colorado. And he addressed this. And believe me, I've been saying this. I just haven't put it on its legs or made it that funny. But so hats off to Bill Burr. But
yeah, he did that.
He'd been saying what I had posted a lot, which was, ladies, it's not, women tried to make it sexist. It's sexist that the women don't get paid as much as the men. It's got nothing to do with sexism. The bottom line is, do you put asses in the seats? You don't. You're not a better product than the NBA. I always used to go, who is the female Magic that can pass like that? Who's the female Vince Carter that can dunk like that? Who's the female Jordan that can fly through the air with grace? Who's the female Allen Iverson that can break your ankles? Who's the female Shaq who can dominate in the paint and bring the backboard down? And I don't want to try to seem like I'm taking a dump on the ladies, but we know what it is in the WNBA. Bounce pass, chest pass, layup, jump shot.
Layup.
And then when you tell them lower the rim or shorten the court, they get upset.
You said it again, we always talk about language, and there are words and phrases that we use to define other things. And you just said the bottom line is that XYZ.
Yeah.
Remember fiscally what the bottom line is just about the money. That's money, the bottom line.
Right.
And that's what it is. You don't draw. Now, here's the problem. Remember, again, the LGBT makes up a great percentage of the players in the WNBA.
I didn't know that. Like, seriously?
Absolutely.
As players?
As players.
Oh, no.
As a matter of fact, I wrote an op-ed several years ago in regard to it. Did some research. I can't remember.
I can see how that's not a stretch.
That I wrote an op-ed?
No, about that.
Oh,
that fact.
Wait till you find out if this is a stretch. I cannot recall the young lady's name, but she was quoted as saying that the WNBA is so gay that she had to pretend to be gay just to be on the team. So she came out as straight afterward to let it be known that in order to fit in with the team, she had to be gay. Now, the point I'm trying to make is that the better part of their audience is WNBA. I mean, is LGBT.
Well, okay.
Real quick, the way, and I'm going to leave outside of the box of basketball to make this point, but the way the LGBT and gay agenda is pushed and forced, you would assume there's enough lesbians to fill up every major stadium in America that would sell enough tickets, that would garner enough sponsors that you could make some NBA money. So where's this fan base? Because every time I look up, there's a gay agenda being forced and pushed in our face. So there should be a market for it, which would mean that there would be enough to fill up a 14,000 seat arena in every city that there is a WNBA stadium. And that would be the end of the issue. Do straight women go see it? Because a lot of the women who are fussing and complaining about this
don't support it.
Don't support it. So
to Bill's point,
that's the point.
he said, where are all the feminists?
Where y'all at?
You guys are trying to blame us like the men don't support it. Your own women won't support it.
Don't go
Your
to
own
the game.
tribe.
That part. That's the only point I'm trying to make. You should be able to do this on your own merit.
And listen, here's again where the women get upset. Pardon me. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. One of my pet peeves is this stereotype that's always existed on television and film, particularly television, sitcoms, is that men are portrayed as like dumb, babbling, mentally challenged idiots. I can't tie my shoe. I know what I want to eat without the help of a woman. Like, we're these dummies.
Right.
And the truth is, it's the opposite.
Oh, boy.
Women are toddlers, man. Listen, great joke by Tom Papa. He said, you ever trying to get your drunk girlfriend after a night out of dinner or a club is like trying to get a toddler in the van. You're like, where's your shoe? Get in the car. Where's your shoe? Chris Rock once said, women aren't gonna let a little thing like sense and logic stop them from winning an argument. And it's like there's been joke after joke after joke where great comedians have proven this point. That it's like when it comes to rationale, logic, the moment a woman gets upset, she turns into who? The toddler. You can't logic. There's no reasoning. You can't win an argument based off sense. You get emotional. And everything goes out the fucking window.
Here we go.
But here we are being portrayed as the immature children.
Trying to make sure to stay on the inside of that emotion.
So that's why.
Because remember, that TV show you're referring to?
Right.
Was executive produced by Harvey Weinstein. So don't think that wasn't by design. Hey, play dumb at rehearsal because I got a casting couch at 4.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So they understand it. Emotion, though. We always understand that men are more logical and women are more emotional.
Right.
And which leads us back to an environment again. We have a lot of single, mother-raised men who are now out in the world running around emotional, which is why people are getting shot in traffic. That's why somebody getting shot over cold French fries or mayonnaise on a Subway sandwich, right? The dudes who've thrown their logic in the trash can and choose to be emotional, and we see it doesn't work the same way. It's not like you say, a woman being a toddler. Now it's this big old giant man acting like a baby with a pistol or doing something ridiculous. But yes, go right ahead.
Great documentary made by Bonnie McFarlane. I forget her husband's name. He was on Last Comic Standing. They used to bust his balls a lot on Opie and Anthony because he talked, a lot of this. I forget this dude's name.
That's Seth.
Not Seth. Oh, God, I wish I could remember this nigga's name. But anyway, she made a documentary called Are Women Funny? And there was one moment where Patrice O'Neal said, "No, they're not funny."
One time.
Now I'll say this. Yeah, I'll say this because here's what Patrice will do. He'll say some shit like that, but comedically have the ability, even if you think it's an insane point,
right,
to support it, or at the very least make you go,
right.
So, but let me speak to that. Of course, women are funny. I've worked with some of the funniest women to me in my life.
Yeah.
Mo Collins, Deborah Wilson, Alex Bornstein, Nicole Sullivan. How could you be a fan of comedy and not know that? And if you've seen Carol Burnett, women are funny. Whoopi Goldberg.
Some more.
Yes.
Melanie Camacho.
Yes. One of my favorite movies growing up 80s was Jumpin' Jack Flash. Right. I thought Whoopi Goldberg was a female Eddie Murphy. Right. So, yes, women are funny. Now, here's what I will say. They're not as funny as men. Now, sure, there are some trash men comics out there where if you put them up against some of the top tier women, clearly a woman can be funnier than a man.
Right.
But I say let's go all-star for all-star. If I said to you right now, give me your Mount Rushmore of favorite or best comedians, not a single woman makes the cut. Even if you put your 4 as, my 4 would be, if I said Eddie Murphy, Richard Pryor, Patrice O'Neal, Dave Chappelle.
Mm-hmm.
If I said to add another 4, I could do it with ease. A woman does not make that Rushmore for a long time.
But if you could, well, again, that would be personal. It would be personal.
What's your top
I
4?
would understand.
What's your top 4?
Again, my top 4 would be very close to your top 4.
I think most comedians.
My top 4 would be very, very close to
right.
that. But again, I think some more is a beast, and she's been over time. She's been around she's represented for long.
I'm a fan of Sarah Silverman. I think Sarah's hilarious. I think Whitney Cummings is hilarious. But again, do I put any of them over Bill Burr, Dave Chappelle, Patrice O'Neal, Sebastian Maniscalco? And I could go on and on and on.
Right.
And here's what I'll say too that spoke to Bill's point. Here's what I think ultimately is the difference between men comics and women comics and why we have that edge. I think as dudes, we put comedy first no matter what, being a dude second. I think with women at some point, depending on what it is, the seriousness of what it is, they put being women first, comedy second. And to me, that badge is the end all be all. And again, to the point, Bill Burr, once upon a time ago on his podcast, Monday Morning Podcast, pointed out a moment where Bill O'Reilly was on The View. And he said something that enraged Joy Behar and Whoopi Goldberg so much that they both got up and walked off.
Right.
And Bill went, you guys are comedians. You let Bill O'Reilly, a non-comedian, pundit, right-wing talking point, take you out your character?
Right.
You were supposed to respond as comedians.
Right.
Check them, cut them down, eat them alive.
Right.
And they didn't. They let being women first, emotional, irrational, get in the way of their weapon. Your weapon is comedy. Use your weapon.
Especially in that particular space. And I agree with you on that too. I think, though, that a lot of times women may do that because they find themselves, not with on The View, but like in comedy where you say where they would make sure to represent this one just because it's underrepresented. And historically, they have been, told that they were not good enough and so forth. And
welcome to Black life.
Yeah. Now, see, again, remember now you talk about Black female comics, they already get it too. So, you know what I mean? I kind of halfway understand because I want to do that. You see me perform in front of all white folks. I don't lose who I am to do the task.
That's why.
Okay. And you see what I'm saying? Like I understand it, but as a, I don't know. I just I want to root for them, but I understand what you're saying. If I were to put top 8, I would make a provision for some more. I'd make a provision.
But
because I have
like an exception.
Well, but I have other comics in there, just like what we were talking about, Bill. But
I just want to be clear on what you just said.
Yeah.
It seems like you're saying I would go out of my way to do so, as opposed to, is that your gut?
Well,
is that your natural gut?
Yeah, because like I said, some of my top 8 would not be that. Like one of my first favorite comedians was Franklin Ajayi. And it was about from an era where comics had one act. And you see him on the Tonight Show, you see him on David Letterman, you see him on the HBO Young Comics, but he's going to be doing the same bit. And the bit Franklin Ajayi did about coming in last in the Olympics, coupled with him being in, I was about to say Friday, and Car Wash and all these other things. Yeah, dude, man, The Fly, man. Yeah. My hair takes time, man. Yeah. These cats don't do it, man. My hair takes time, man. I am your knight in shining armor.
Right.
Mona, don't no other cat dig you like me. See, based in these other works.
Right.
But, and he still does his thing, but not comparable to the rest of the list, but he was my favorite. He influenced me, you know what I'm saying? Like for a petite, not like a affirmative action, not like, I gotta put a female comic in here. But, I think some more is funny like that. If I were to extend and open up my list, I think I might put some more on there.
I love me some Sherry Shepherd.
Sherry Shepherd.
Sherry Shepherd is a
Sherry
monster.
is a beast. Yamanika, that chick Yamanika out of New York.
That is.
Yeah, she would come down and do Rubens night, but she's out of New York. She's funny as hell.
But ultimately, I think sometimes
Pat Brown. I got to shout out my homegirl Pat Brown. She works with Tracy Morgan. She tours with Tracy.
I think that because there is a natural nurturing quality to women as mothers and as wives, that sometimes at some point, especially as they mature, that can get in the way of comedy. Whereas dudes, we're so immature and childlike, we never lose that. So, we can do an intellectual joke like the next best person, or a political joke, or a highbrow joke, but we also will do a joke about farting and goofy shit. And to us, that'll always be funny. Where I think women's maturity level at times is a little bit more advanced than ours.
Well, they were always more.
And sometimes that gets in the way of the comedy.
Could be.
Yeah.
Do we have a way for the people? I'd like to know who their favorite female comic is.
On Spears and Steinberg, I always give out my email so people can write in. If you want, you can give out an email and have people write in.
Yeah, man. I'm at GerardGuillory@yahoo.com. Send that. Yeah. Tell me your favorite female comedian.
Yeah.
In all seriousness.
Give us your Mount Rushmore, which is 4. Or if you want to extend it, give us your top 10. I'd like to see how many people put a woman in their top 10 over. I'm gonna get dudes who I know could fill the top 10 easily.
Right. It's a good old boys. It's a good old boy network,
and I'm not even going by that vibe.
No, but I'm saying who the greats are. The list of the greats. Right. That's not just what we're making up in here. If we go and look in the almanac, it's gonna be loaded with dudes.
Bernie Mac, Louis C.K., Chris Rock, Dave Chappelle, Eddie Murphy, Eddie Griffin, Patrice O'Neal, George Carlin, and I keep going. Martin Lawrence. You know what I'm saying? I don't know a woman that even supersedes any of them dudes.
Man, I was so fortunate. I did Comedy Central live at Gotham on Comedy Central years ago. Robert Schimmel. Do you remember Robert Schimmel, man? God bless the dead. That was a funny dude. Andy Kindler is funny like that.
Right. He did. I might be butchering it up, but Jimmy Kimmel told it. Not Jimmy Kimmel. Schimmel.
Robert Schimmel.
Schimmel told a joke about his son. What's that shit where you get a dying wish?
Make a Wish Foundation.
Make a Wish, and he said something about his son's wish was for. I think he said Dolly Parton at the time, to blow his father. I might be fucking up the joke, but something. But Robert Schimmel was a motherfucker.
Robert Schimmel was an absolute beast, man. Yeah. And the list does go on and on and on and on. But there are some funny females out there.
And again, I want to be clear. Yeah. I'm not saying women aren't funny. That'd be crazy.
Right.
I just don't know that they're as funny as men. I just don't know that they are.
That's a fair point. There should be some kind of competition. That would be wonderful.
Right.
That would be a wonderful. You had to make sure it was balanced and that it wasn't like, okay, all the girls just gonna vote for the girls, and they got no, we're gonna really have a secret ballot so you can put it in, and that might be a thing.
So hit him up.
Gerard Guillory at Yahoo.
Gerard Guillory at Yahoo, and let us know what it is. There you have it, baby. Sophisticated Scoundrels. I probably showcase more of my scoundrel side than my sophisticated side.
And when that happens, I'm gonna.
Whereas last Monday, when talking about the shit we were talking about, you saw more of the sophisticated side of Gerard.
Yeah. And we're doing a little scoundreling this week.
Yeah. There it is, yo. See y'all next week, man.
Peace.